you join me at Linear Fisheries Brasenose 2. Now it's probably about 7:30 and it's relatively quiet at the moment. I can hear a number of cars just coming down the track behind me, but yeah, I'm on Brasenose 2. It's days only, as you are aware, so I can only fish from the hours of sort of 8 AM to 6 PM, and I am in a nice big swim that commands a lot of water, sort of down the bowl end, I believe, of Brasenose 2. If you watch any of my videos, you know that I don't visit Linear. I don't get the chance to visit Linear. It's just so busy, and sort of like working, home commitments, that sort of thing. I just never get a chance to fish in it. So yeah, I'm here. I've got today and tomorrow, so it's going to be a bit of a two-part series on the video front. Don't know if I'm going to just stick them into one yet, or keep them separate, because I don't even know if Brasenose 2 is going to be open tomorrow, because there were a few signs saying about maintenance. So this might be the only chance I get to fish this today and try and nick myself a couple of bites. But yeah, it's looking nice. Really overcast. I believe we've got some big winds, sort of 40 mile an hour, 50 mile an hour winds possibly today, and probably some rain showers in between as well. But for now, I'm going to shut up. I need to get the mat off the mat sling net off the barrow, go and get that all dipped. Recently installed some new net dips, 16 in fact, around the fisheries, you know, all around, dotted around the lakes. So when you visit, please make sure obviously you're dipping your nets, your slings, your mats, that sort of thing, killing any nasties, and yeah, then you can commence your fishing. So I'm going to go and do that now, and I will catch up with you shortly. As you can see then, net dip, at the net dips, full information as to why, you know, you should disinfect all your nets, mats, slings, that sort of thing. And as it says there, you know, don't kill a fishery. You know, travelling from fishery to fishery, not knowing what's going on in each lake, could wipe out entire places like this. So if you are down here, just have a little read of that. It tells you exactly why we should be using sort of the dip tanks that they've provided. So I'm going to get this dip now, get back down to the swim. We can think about getting some rods out. As you can see, everything is set up, bar the rods. Bit of a mad one, to be honest. Just wanted to get everything sort of set up before any rain moved in, just to get everything sort of comfortable. Then it's done for the day, and I don't have to worry about it. So yeah, all that's set up, all of it's in there. Rods are set up. I just literally need to bang on a couple of solid bags, and then a single, which I'm just going to try and just launch to however far I can launch it. And yeah, go with that for the moment. I have brought my spod rod. Don't know if I'm going to intend on using it yet, but you never know. If you catch a couple of fish, and it might be worth putting 2 or 3 spoms out, but just going to play that by ear for now. But yeah, like I say, everything's set up. I just need to get these rods sorted, so I'm going to do that now, and then as the day goes on, we can talk about what I'm doing and how it's looking out there really. So I'll catch up with you shortly. Very quickly then, before I get 2 solid bags cast out, just gone with 2 different colours in there at the moment. So I've got the yellow and the pink, and pink are the sea monster wafters. Absolutely honk, they absolutely reek, and are like I say, and are super visual. So that's in one of the bags. And the yellow ones, again, pineapple house, again absolutely reek, nice and visual yellow, and something that I can just wang out and sit on for an hour or two just as I watch the water and see what's kind of happening really. So I think it's enough talking. more action. Let's get these two out. Just as I'd got the two solid bags out, the wind absolutely decided to kick up, and I thought I had my brolly set up in the right position, but oh my gosh, no I didn't. So yeah, before I get this third rod out, I've had to scramble to get this brolly twisted round, so it's more sort of on the back of it as such now, because yeah, that was probably going to take off and end up in B1 to be fair. But yeah, look at those waves properly. I said those, you know, we was going to be getting some strong winds, but yeah, they are lapping in now. I've seen two shows though, right like miles out, well beyond anywhere I can reach, and like I say, it's right out the back here, a couple of shows. But yeah, let's hope this wind stirs them up a bit. That's the first soaking of the day, absolutely drenched, getting that third rod out. But yeah, let's hope next time it's a drenching for the right reasons. But yeah, that just literally came out of nowhere. I was expecting, you know, the big winds and the rain today, but I would have hoped it would have held out for half an hour just while I got the rod sorted, but obviously not. But yeah, it's looking pretty mean out there. All three rods have gone out. I've just sort of put them out sort of as comfortably as I can sort of wang them out really. They went out, like I say, they went out nicely, no issues. You would have seen recently I put a video up online. I put some new line on the reels, and yeah, done a bit of a talk through how I sort of do that. And yeah, that line went out nicely. So I don't know if you can see, sort of there is a big band of blue sky just along the horizon there. So this is obviously just going to be another one of those passing showers that we seem to be having this weekend. But yeah, all three rods have gone out, left and middle, both on solid bags as you would have seen. Right hander, that actually went out on a Ronnie rig, about an 8-inch boom on it, and that went out with a Creamino pop-up, really nice colour, sort of pastel-y, yellowy, creamy, really nice actually, to be fair. Smell absolutely insane. And then just before I've put it out, I've just given it, just massaged in a couple of drops of the Creamino booster bottle, so just to give it a bit of an extra kick. Not that they need them, because yeah, they are sort of you know, pungent and really sort of nice smelling on their own, but just to kind of draw the fish down. That went out, like I say, just as a single, and just going to keep an eye on things really over the next couple of hours. What I do need is a coffee, but whilst I'm doing that, I'm just going to sit out, watch the water, and hope that something happens. Right, well, the solid bag rods, they have been out for a good couple of hours now, and it's time for a freshen up. Where I could go down sort of 2 lines on this session by introducing bait via the spawn, I just don't think, with it fishing quite tough at the moment and bites quite few and far between, I don't think introducing masses of bait is going to do me any favours. What I'm going to probably go down the lines of doing what I'm doing now is getting the rods in sort of every hour and a half at least, and getting fresh bags cast back out, get them injected with some oil, and like I say, just try and dot them around and try and pick off a fish that way. I don't really, like I say, want to go putting out loads of bait when at the moment I'm just trying to scratch for my first bite. So as I'm saying that, I've got one of the rods in. I'll just quickly show you my solid bag setup for this session. So as you would have seen, I've got pink wafter on that one. I am going to switch that up at the moment. I've got 3 different colours to work my way around. Just chop and change and just see if I can nick a bite, and yeah, if anything happens I can switch the other ones over to exactly the same. So got a little Baitworks Sea Monster wafter there. Like I say, that one is coming off and it is going to be changed over down to a sort of 3.5 inch, I should say, solid bag rig that I've tied up. Really simple wide gape hook, a bit of shrink tubing just on the shank and on the eye just for tidiness, down to a trimmed down anti-tangle sleeve. Underneath there is just a quick change swivel, so just so I can hook it on for ease of quickness and getting it back out in the eventuality that I do have a fish. That is down to a 2.5 ounce flat pair inline lead. Then got a solid bag stem in sort of a brownie colour, and then I come down to the Graviton rig tubing, probably about a foot or so of the rig tubing. Now, as you will see from the little snippet of the video that I put in before this Graviton tubing is tungsten and it absolutely sinks like a brick, and just the way it hugs that gravel just down in the margin, because the swim does go out, but we've had so much rain recently, the water of the lake water has just made its way over the front of the sort of the gravel area of the swim. So it's a nice little way of just having a little look at how this kind of looks on the bed. Although I'm not really fishing over, you know, gravel out there, it was just nice just to see how this drops in between all the little crevices and over the bigger lumps of gravel and stuff like that. So yeah, that was the that's the Graviton rig tubing in a green and a brown. I've just got the brown on at the moment, but I'd be happy using either of these colours in this session. So yeah, green or brown, tungsten tubing, absolutely sinks like a brick. Like I say, just testing it in the margin. I'm really happy that that's going to be all out the way when that's out on the lake bed. And like I say, once that solid bag's melting, that's just going to be lead there, fluttering around amongst all the contents of the bag, all those little pellets, ready just to be hoovered up. One mouthful, get in, grab it and go. And that's what I'm hoping, really. So I'm going to get this one sorted, and then I'm going to get the other one in, get that one sorted again, wang them both back out, and just keep an eye on the water and see if we can nick ourselves a first fish. But not really seen much else happening apart from people spomming, really. But me personally, I don't feel that's the way to go on this session. I'd rather just keep casting these around, and like I say, with the bags and the tubing all pinned down, out the way, just try and keep it all inconspicuous for Mr. Carp to come along and hoover up, and hopefully it'll just do me one bite, and that's all I'm after. Right, so second rod is in on the solid bags, and I'm just going to talk you through exactly how I tie my solid bags. It's nothing revolutionary, but just a few little pointers and tips to make sure you get the most out of your bag, really. So first and foremost, if you're using solid bags, everything must be bone dry, because the slightest little bit of moisture will basically just start to melt the bag before you've even got it cast out. So when you've got your rig, whether that's a recast or your first cast, just make sure everything is bone dry, so you can use sort of like the leg of your, your trouser leg, you can use a towel, anything that you've got to hand that is dry, basically use it. And once you've dried that, the main contents of the terminal tackle off, what I tend to do is the bucket that I've got my pellets in from my solid bag, just drop it in, drop the rig in, and just cover it in in the pellet and the little bit of powders that you've got in your solid bag bucket. That'll just basically attach itself. I don't know if you can see, but there's just all little bits of the powder off the pellets, and like I say, off the powder that I put in the mix. That's just attached itself to the last little bits of moisture on the terminal tackle, and then basically that's going to make sure everything is completely dry. Then all I do, get the bag, give it, put that down so not all fingers and thumbs, put that down, get your bag, just give it a little blow, and it just opens up the bag easier for you to drop your rig into. So I get my rig, drop it in. I'm quite anal about the way I like to have the hook bait lay in, but as you can see, I like to have the hook bait tucked, or at least down in the corner, the shank of the hook led across the bottom, and then the rest of the hook link just trailing up to the bag. While I'm doing that, I'm just pinching the lead to the sides of the bag to stop that from dropping in whilst I'm doing it. So once I've got that in place like that, I will start to load the bag with my pellet mix. So got the bag still pinching in place, use one of the little quarter scoops, super handy, just to get it into the corner of the bag. Just give it a little shake, and I sort of put a third of the bag contents in to start with, and then what I do is I just pull the lead up about an inch of the bag without moving the hook bait or the hook, just to make sure that any of that remaining hook link isn't wrapped around the hook point inside the bag. Once I know that that's good, I'll just continue to load it up till about 2/3 of the way with that pellet mix, and then if you move the lead out of the way, you'll see that that's about 2/3 filled. Then I just use the lead to pat down the pellet without moving anything below it, just compacting all those little pellets and that powder down into the bag, and then I just upright the lead and fill it in around it. So it'll probably be, there you go, one more scoop, and maybe just a tiny bit more, just enough to be able to, you know, a good centimetre that's free, you know, good centimetre PVA that's on top, that's free, allows you to grip it and then pat the pellet inside the bag down again. And as you can see, just from doing that, I've probably got another half's worth of PVA back on that, just from compacting that down really tight. Do it a few more times, and then I will just twist the bag around the top of the stem. What I will then do is take some PVA tape, pull enough off that you've got enough to play with. You don't again want to be scrimping and being all fingers and thumbs around your bag. So whilst I was just doing that, I place that down, I can just twist the PVA around the stem, keeping it in place. Give it a good 3 or 4 wraps around the top of the bag, like so, and then just tie a couple of granny knots. Basically, doesn't need to be pretty. Don't need to do a certain knot in particular. Just tie it off with a couple of granny knots, just so it's nice and tight around that stem just above the lead. And what you'll be left with is something like that. Now what you can do is just very carefully get a little bit of moisture on the end of there, pull it away, lick your fingers, and then squeeze that excess PVA just around the stem, which will neaten things up. You can cut it with scissors, but I just think for the sake of 2 seconds of a lick and stick, it's done. So as you can see, licked and sticked. The bag is rock solid already, but we can do something else just to make sure that this is absolutely aerodynamic to the best it can be. So these little corners, give them a tap, just so again it's working the pellet into all the little nooks and crannies. So you've got a little flap, give it a little bit of saliva, hold it down for a few seconds, 5-10 seconds. There you go, job done. There's one. You've got the hook bait in the other end, so you've got the little yellow wafter in the other end. Just work that inside the pellet. That goes in nicely. Straighten the corner up. Little slick. And a press down. Again, 5-10 seconds. Should be more than enough to stick it. And there we go, job done. Both corners stuck down. All that's left to do now is get some oil squirted inside it with a oral syringe. I'll do that just before I cast out. Draw the oil out of the bottle with your syringe, pierce it inside the bag and slowly inject it into the contents of your solid bag. It's PVA friendly, it's not going to melt your solid bag, and it'll give you more than enough time to get it cast out onto your spot. Again, it's all about making it compact, making it tight, making it sort of one sort of, it's a lead essentially. It's just a compacted big lead, but obviously you've got all the bait inside it, and this will go as far as you can cast it. So solid bags, get on them, well worth it sort of through the autumn and winter. I'm going to get this one out. Right, it's just coming up to 1 o'clock. As you can see over my shoulder, all the rods are in. Now, literally, over this hedge and the other side onto B1, I've seen 2 shows now, probably 30-40 yards out. And I've been sat on B2, obviously since 7:30, and only seen 1 show that was so long. I don't even think Superman with my rig in its hand would be able to reach it. So yeah, it's going to be silly of me to not get my rods in and literally get the other side of this bush. I'm talking literally in these swims here. 40 yards out, I've seen 1 show, and then just as I was stood in that swim, one is literally boshed out just off this bush here, probably 15 yards if that. So I'm not one for sitting on my hands and just sitting and waiting on these sort of waters. At least on B1 and B2, it's about making something happen. So that is exactly what I'm going to go and try and do now. So I'm going to get the pod, get the rods, get them flicked out, and then I can quickly nip back in here, grab all my bits and get it chucked in that swim next door. So fingers crossed, just might be able to save this session. I could not get that stuff into this swim quick enough. It's an absolute tip. But the rods are out, well, 2 rods are out at least. 2 rods are out, both on solid bags, pretty much 1 left, 1 right, 30 yards or so out, exactly where I see the 2 shows whilst just peering over the bush behind me. So a bit more confident than I was next door. I've actually seen, like I say, fish in front of me and I've got bait on them. So I think what I'm going to do with this 3rd rod is just get it on another solid bag really, and just underarm flick it out, because it seems to be that same sort of line just in front of this swim where the fish were showing. So I think 3 solid bags just dotted like 1, 2, 3 might just give me the best chance of nicking myself a fish. But there's literally two others on here, 1 on either side, bang middle of the lake. And yeah, it's pretty mad really just how quiet it is. It just seems a little bit surreal seeing somewhere like this obviously so quiet. But there is some cloud looming just over these backs of these trees, which I'm a little bit worried about, because obviously the brolly and that is now packed down. But I think just for the sake of keeping everything dry, I might just quickly knock that up and then get this bag converted. Get this rod, converted to a bag and just flick that out. But at the moment, like I say, rods are out. Hopefully we can nick ourselves a fish. Don't know how long's left of the day. It's coming up to 2 o'clock, so probably got about 3.5 hours, because I want to make sure I'm out of the gate by 6. So fingers crossed, this little move from one side to the other might just result in a fish. So the rain is starting to come back down. I've had a little look over the back of the brolly. I don't think it's going to be here for too long. It's just looks like it's going to be a bit of a passing shower. Probably coming into the last couple of hours of the session now. Over the last couple of hours, I've just been chucking solid bags at shows, really. Flip the camera around. I have had shows kind of down here. Couple of shows in which I had the left-hander in, which was quite short after seeing a show initially when I got into the swim, which was nice and short, just an underarm flick. I've kind of blasted it a bit longer because obviously there is no one else in this corner, and yeah, that's not materialised yet into anything, but that one hasn't been out for that long. There's also been shows sort of I don't know, 30 yards out around here. Then obviously originally I see a show just around the corner of my brolly where I put the first rod out, but yeah, nothing has really materialised from the effort of moving onto the showing fish on B1. But like I say, there is still a couple of hours, and it gets dark around sort of, I don't know, 4, half 4, maybe 5 at an absolute push, depending on what's going on overhead. But it is quite a cloud. It's turned into quite a cloudy afternoon, so we might have an hour of dark, and the fish might think that it's all safe. So you never know. We might be able to nick one right at death doors. But at the moment, all quiet. But I'm seeing a lot more activity on B1 than I am seeing that I see, on a good sort of 4 hours or so sat on B2. So it can only be promising. I have got tomorrow at my disposal as well. So it's going to be a bit of a 2-part series on this video. I'm probably going to drop back onto B1 straight away tomorrow. I'm not gonna mess about. I'm gonna get straight into a swim, and probably look to just keep an eye on the water whilst I'm getting bits and pieces sort of set up, and yeah, just keep an eye on everything. And if I have to move tomorrow, I will. But yeah, at the moment, nothing's really materialised by doing that. But like I say, there's still a couple of hours, and it can all change in the space of minutes. So I'm gonna milk this one, keep at it. The more shows I see, I'm just going to keep flicking bags to it, and hope that it lands amongst a group of fish, and yeah, I'm rewarded for it. But I'm just going to stay out of the way of this rain for the foreseeable until that passes, and keep everything crossed that we can just nick one for our efforts. But real quick update, and I'll fill you in as the rest of the afternoon passes on. Look at those beautiful autumnal colours. Look, there's that sun, that last bit of sun just beats over the top behind me, just illuminating that far bank. Looks so cool. Just lighting up the last of the leaves on the trees, and amongst the dark sky, just looks so cool. Beautiful time of year to be out. Exactly why, part of the reason why we come out and do it. Well, as you can see, the sun is just about to set, and we're probably into the last hour of light now. It's just gone 4:30, and within the next hour I'm going to have to make my way out of the fishery. The gates will be shutting at 6 sharpish. So yeah, I don't want to be locked in. So as you can see over my shoulder, everything is pretty much packed away, ready just to be loaded in the car, ready for tomorrow's session. I will be back down, more than likely back on B1 for what possibly might be my revenge, unless one of those 3 rattle off in the next hour. Fingers crossed they do. Would be a nice end to a bit of a grueling day. I've obviously moved from B2 onto B1 based on what I've seen. The first part of the morning, See absolutely nothing on B2 apart from one that was showed so far away I was never going to get anywhere near it. And then obviously jumped onto B1 knowing that I've seen fish good 30 or 40 yards out, and have tried to fish to shows really. Bites haven't really been happening. I've not seen anyone, the sort of 3 or 4 other anglers that are just dotted around, I've not actually seen anyone else bring anything in, catch anything like that, to be quite honest with you. So obviously it just seems slow this time of year. Obviously there's a bit of a transition period where obviously the temperatures and stuff like that, and the seasons. Not only that, obviously it's just days only as well, so the fish are probably a bit all over the place with everything at the moment. But yeah, I'm not gonna be ploughing any bait in for sort of tonight, for possibly a return tomorrow, because it's just not worth it in my eyes. You know, if things were different, then you might be able to sort of pre-bait some areas and get amongst it tomorrow. But at the moment, bites are so few and far between, I'd be silly to put any bait out really. So tomorrow we come back, we do it all again, and we just react to what we see to try and nick a bite really. So that's my sort of thinking for tomorrow at least. Not really too sure what more I can say from there really, apart from, you know, thanks for watching this part. I will not really decided what I'm going to do with the videos yet, whether this one will be just sort of part 1 and there'll be a part 2. Yeah, kind of undecided, or I might just stick them both together as sort of like a 2-day session really. But yeah, we'll see how it goes tomorrow. But for now, let's hope one of those rip off. If not, thanks for watching. Feel free to stick any comments down below. Anything you want to chat about, as always, come over and chat to me on my social media. Happy to answer any questions. Just have a chit chat in general, to be fair. So I'm going to leave it there unless an absolute miracle happens, like I say, in the next hour. And if not, I will catch up with you tomorrow when we are back at Linear Fisheries.